Today on the DML podcast, tragedy has struck in DC. But as much as we're going to talk about that and the details we know so far, we're also going to talk about RFK Jr.'s first confirmation hearing yesterday, some details from Trump's signing of the Lake and Riley Act, and some really bad mayors that are in America right now. We have this and more, and as always, it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hey everybody, it's Denny here. We are coming a little late to you today for just two reasons. One, studio-wise, we had some maintenance issues today that we got a hold on, and DML's still kind of dealing with that. So he may, I think, be coming back tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, definitely next week. And then, obviously, last night, this wasn't really planned for our show today, considering at the time that it happened, tragedy struck in DC. Probably our worst airline tragedy that we've had in decades. An American Airlines flight, from what we know, a commercial airline. And Ryan will play the video just kind of as B-roll in the background. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. But the commercial flight that was coming out of Wichita, Kansas, and heading into Reagan Airport was struck by a Black Hawk helicopter, or I guess more specifically, a helicopter that was doing a training exercise, I believe, out of a military base in Virginia, Fort Belvoir. 60 passengers, or 64 in total if you count the crew, as well as the 3 soldiers that were on the helicopter, were in that crash, that aircraft collision. And the rescue efforts have turned into recovery efforts because mainly, I think so far, there's only been 30 bodies recovered, and the rest of them have not been found yet as the time of this recording. Considering the extent of the crash and the temperature out right now being January in DC, and that it was over the Potomac River, there won't be any survivors, and it's beyond awful. It's something that is a very rare, but obviously a very stark tragedy, especially when it happens on a domestic flight like that on American soil. And from what I gathered as well with other information, I mean, besides that it was coming out of Kansas, it seems that in some of the casualties, there were figure skaters from the American team that would participate in the Olympics that were on that flight. As for the cause, there's an investigation going on right now, and talk about the timing of it. Sean Duffy yesterday was confirmed as the Secretary of Transportation, and I can only imagine being brought into that role, and on day one, you're facing one of the worst airplane crashes in our country's history. It's just crazy, remarkable, and that would happen. I'm sure his hands are going to be very full, as well as Pete Hegseth, who's been monitoring the situation. Even Trump put out a statement, and you could just tell by the way he wrote his Truth Social posts, he's devastated too, especially just kind of coming after a very strong first week momentum of the Trump presidency. We've been saying it on this podcast, the vibes and the positivity has been very high as deportation efforts are underway, as Trump is making new policy decisions. And yeah, when this happens, it kind of pulls us back into reality that, life is precious and short. So I know I speak for Ryan too. He's on the controls, but our prayers definitely go out to all the families that are impacted by this tragedy. And, hopefully as we go forward and the FFA investigation comes out, this could be just mere chance that there was a blind sight. Maybe it was something with an air traffic control. We can sit here and speculate, but the truth is maybe we'll just come back tomorrow as more details come out with this investigation. I'd say my only saving grace here is that with actually the Trump administration in charge, I think they will get to the bottom of it very quickly as to how this tragedy happened, because from all sorts and angles, it's not like it was a rainy, crazy day. I mean, it seems like this was preventable. So until we get more, our hearts go out, and we definitely share our prayers for everyone that's impacted. RFK Jr. yesterday had to face the Senate Finance Committee, and as of right now, he is probably, I think he is, he's in his second hearing with the health, and I can't remember the rest of the name, but it's the health committee for a second hearing today. And I'm sure a lot of what will happen today will reflect yesterday's testimony. I want to start off with a few videos that just kind of cement my feeling as to why I think RFK is very um, designated for this role as the HHS secretary, specifically because I, as Trump would even say, I'm not sure I would want RFK in other positions, but there is something about him taking this role that I think will be very beneficial to America. So our first video here is RFK showing or telling us that every morning he prays to God for the health of America. Ryan, let's play that clip.
The health problems in this country that we must face honestly. And the first thing I've done every morning for the past 20 years is to get on my knees and pray to God that he would put me in a position to end the chronic disease epidemic and to help America's children. That's why I'm so grateful to President Trump for the opportunity to sit before you today and seek your support and partnership in this endeavor.
RFK also proved that he is a fighter for the children of America. One of his very vehement statements he made yesterday during the hearing is that he doesn't care if you're the child of a Republican parent or the child of a Democrat parent. At the end of the day, you're a child. And if you're a child in America, you want to be healthy and you want to prosper. And I think his message was really pulled through in that statement. So Ryan will play that clip.
To restore trust in the public health agencies, we need transparency. I want to say something about what you first said. When I launched my campaign, it was about uniting Americans, Democrats and Republicans. There's no issue that should unite us more than this chronic health epidemic. There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. These are our kids. 66% of them are damaged. I know what a healthy kid looks like because I had so many of them in my family. I didn't know anybody with a food allergy growing up, peanut allergy. Why do 5 of my kids have allergies? Why are we seeing these explosions in diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, neurological diseases, depression, all of these things that are related to toxics in the environment? Why can't we just agree with each other to put differences about so many issues, intractable issues aside, and say, we're going to end this? I don't think anybody is going to be able to do this like I have because of my peculiar experience, because I've litigated against these agencies. When you litigate against them, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. I've written 6 books about these agencies. I know a lot about them and I know how to fix it. And there's nobody who will fix it the way that I do because I'm not scared of vested interests. I don't care. I'm not here because I want a position or a job. I have a very good life and a happy family. This is something I don't need. I want to do this because we're going to fix it. And the other thing is we are attracting now a caliber of people to HHS like never before in history. And they're entrepreneurs, they're disruptors, they're innovators of immense talent that are walking away, many of them from growing concerns. They're not coming there for position. They're coming there because they want to save our country. And they're from across the political spectrum. And all these Democrats are opposed to me for partisan issues. They used to be my friends. Agreed with me on all the environmental issues that I've been working on for my whole career. Now they're against me because anything that President Trump does, any decision he makes, has to be lampooned, derided, discredited, marginalized, vilified.
And it's not just children either. I mean, RFK is up there. I might double check, but I believe he's in his 70s. I don't know if Ryan, if you want to check on your phone real quick, but RFK is definitely going to be one of Trump's more older cabinet choices. And he made a very strong statement yesterday as to why he will fight for seniors and be a protector of Medicaid.
Most Americans, if they can afford to be, will be on private insurance. We need to figure out ways to improve care particularly for elderly, for veterans, for the poor in this country. And Medicaid, the current model is not doing that. I would ask, any of the Democrats who are chuckling just now, do you think all that money, the $900 billion that we're sending to Medicaid every year, has made Americans healthy? Do we think it's working for anybody? Are the premiums low enough?
Yeah, so Ryan just confirmed with me RFK Jr. is 71. And at 71, just one more clip here from one of his statements. He kind of outlines his overall goal and why he feels he's destined for this role. And his main priority, from what he states in this next clip, is ending the chronic disease epidemic. Because whether you do have kids or whether you are on the older side, when you look by large margins of the American population, and he kind of stated it yesterday, we are a chronically diseased nation, especially comparably to other countries out there. I mean, Europe's got its share of problems, but I'll give them credit on the sense that they have better health standards for their food. And when you see RFK or when you hear RFK up there, and we're going to get into some of the Democrat shenanigans yesterday that just make it such a clown show. But before we get into that, I just want Ryan to play this clip of RFK Jr. basically outlining why he feels it's so important to curb the chronic disease epidemic.
President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason
position.
why you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me?
reason why then you're at the HHS to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying, and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
I hope this man gets confirmed, and I'm sure he's going to go through a lot of BS again today. But as for the two Senator BSers that really gave RFK Jr. some shit yesterday, truthfully, Elizabeth Warren, no surprise there. Ryan has two back-to-back clips of her asking RFK Jr., notoriously known as Big Pharma's biggest enemy, considering he has been vocal about the issues he has with vaccines. Elizabeth Warren still yet decided to ask him if he could vouch that he would never take money from these drug makers, and his response is pretty spot on.
Commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member.
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit?
You're not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here.
As
Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturers.
So there you have RFK Jr. telling her, I don't think they would want to give me money. And then in that second clip, you kind of have RFK Jr. telling her that he wants to hold vaccine makers accountable. And she's trying to short curb it, that he's just anti-vax. Bernie Sanders also tried to hit that point home. And I got to say, I'm not a socialist, obviously. I always give Bernie Sanders a sliver of respect just because he's kind of on the outsider of the Democrat Party. But even when he makes his cases, and as much as I don't agree with him, it's always by his principle that he's lived by, with how his views align in his social liberal Vermont mindset. But then he just kind of does some really stupid stuff. And there's no better example than yesterday when he asked RFK Jr. about baby onesies. So Brian's going to play that clip.
They are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you are pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with leadership.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Blackburn.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Yeah, right. So before we move on, just to round up here with the RFK Jr. hearing, my overall take is that he did a great job. He did a great job giving his kind of his unique position as to why he feels, I don't want to use the word destined, but almost like made for this role. And then you just got Elizabeth Warren, where you're just like, what is her purpose other than just making little sound clips at this level? And then Bernie Sanders, with the onesies. And if you look back at that clip, you can actually see Megyn Kelly. She was in the audience, and you could just see her break into laughter when Bernie Sanders brings it up.
Yeah, these hearings and confirmations, they're just like, it's just for like you said, for the Democrats and Republicans on both sides to just kind of humiliate who they're talking to, and to just make those sound bites, and to just, support their narrative and their media. So RFK held his own, and I just want to see him in the position already. Like, can we just get past all this?
I agree, man. And like I said, today will be his second hearing. I'm sure we'll have a few moments from it that we'll discuss tomorrow. But like Ryan just said, at this stage, that was the Senate Finance Committee. I don't think there was one question from the Democrats' side about how he would manage the budget as the secretary. So it really just does become a clown show when they're involved. We will probably also talk about another hearing there's two hearings that's happening today that we'll discuss again tomorrow for tomorrow's show. Kash Patel has his hearing as the nominee for the FBI director. But today's hearing that probably has me on the, will she get through, is Tulsi Gabbard. And she is before her hearing right now to be confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. There was actually a push by Congress to have it as a closed doors confirmation hearing, as a way to maybe kind of just find the leeway excuse to not confirm her. And there was a lot of pushback. So we'll definitely have more discussion about how that plays out tomorrow. But one of the big things that Trump did personally yesterday was he signed the Laken-Riley Act officially into law. I think it's his first legislative action that has been translated into law. And if you look at Laken Riley's act, now a law, it gives the right of grounds of deportation to illegal aliens that commit crimes such as theft or any kinds of violence. So it's more of a more accessible federal law to get illegals deported and out of the way. Before I get into Trump's grand idea as to handle some of the worst, here's a great moment yesterday, just kind of showing or showcasing Trump's leadership skills. He was in the midst of signing the law or the act. Laken Riley's parents were there with him. And maybe it's just a little reminder, Laken Riley was the Georgia nursing student killed literally last year by an illegal alien. So he's there signing it, the legislation into law, and a reporter out of frame is all of a sudden asking Trump about the federal freeze on funding. And Trump's response is just very reminiscent of a true leader. Ryan, let's play the clip.
Mr. President, government funding. Can you take a quick question on government funding? The pause.
I don't think this is appropriate time, really. I respect that, but I don't think it's appropriate. I can just tell you government is doing very well, and we're cutting way back, but this is not the appropriate time. Thank you.
You know, that's the Trump I love, just like telling the reporter, hey, man, this is not the time. You know, I mean, when you got the parents standing there and you're just trying to like do a nice thing and get something into law, and you got him asking about the federal funding freeze. Trump's response was awesome. Now, back to what I mentioned earlier, at that same signing, Trump had said prior to actually signing the law that one of the next executive orders he's going to be issuing is sending 30,000 of the worst criminal illegal aliens to Guantanamo Bay. Ryan, let's play that clip.
Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back. So we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Right. So before we move on, I mean, I think that's a genius plan. I mean, it seems like he was never informed that the prison down in Cuba in Gitmo can house that many illegal immigrant or illegal aliens. And why not use it? You know, it's a good way to kind of instill the scare of the illegals that are still here, especially those that are like dangerous criminals. And why not make some use out of good old Guantanamo?
Yeah, I agree. And especially if, you know, it's just sitting there with the space. And like you said, the people that are like are the worst of the worst, that we don't even trust the other countries to take them and to keep them contained. So yeah, well, I mean, it's a great, see, that's like the out of box thinking that comes with Trump.
Yes.
That doesn't come with Biden or Obama. And that's the thinking we need to get this situation under control.
100%. And, you know, someone who I think will very much lead that message well, and he's already proven it quite a bit, is J.D. Vance. He was on Hannity last night defending the Trump administration from some of the flack that they've been getting from liberal celebrities, like how he covered Selena Gomez the other day. And Vance makes a good point. He's like, why is the mentality here that liberal Americans care more about the illegal immigrants than their own neighbor Americans? It's great when Vance has some powerful, hard-hitting statements, and he had that in Hannity last night. So, Rye, let's play that clip.
There's something very deranged in the mind of the far left in this country, where I really do think that they feel more of a sense of compassion for illegal aliens who have no right to be in this country than they do their fellow citizens. And that really has to change. And, you know, when Selena Gomez had her viral moment, and of course there were a lot of other celebrities who weighed in, I had people sending me photos of little kids, sometimes kids the same age as my little children. We've got, of course, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
It was a great scene, by the way.
Thank you.
Your son's playing with your hair.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But you know, kids similar age to my children who were murdered by criminal aliens in the United States of America. And as an American leader, but also just as an American citizen, your compassion belongs first to your fellow citizens. It doesn't mean you hate people from outside of your own borders, but there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society. And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is the simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership, and President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first. In the same way that the British prime minister should care about Brits and the French should care about the French, we have an American president who cares primarily about Americans, and that's a very welcome change.
What is
JD Vance, A+ winner. Honestly, I think it was a very good choice of Trump as a long run bet in a way to make him VP. Way better than his matchup with Mike Pence. Even just JD Vance's response there, how it comes from a Christian foundation. That's why I think he's going to be a real winner for the next 4 years, and probably elevating the VP position too, considering sometimes that gets regarded as a little bit of a sleepy post in a way. So, Ryan, let's talk about some of the worst mayors in America right now in various different ways. We'll start with the mayor of Minneapolis. I don't even care to remember or know his name. All I know is that we have a video here where he stands at his podium along with Ilhan Omar behind him, stating that the city of Minneapolis will not be cooperating with ICE or any federal law enforcement when it comes to immigration enforcement. Shocker. Let's play the video.
I want to speak directly to people who are undocumented. We love you. We care about you. In the city of Minneapolis, we will stand up for you, and we will do anything in our power to help. Because you're not an alien in our city, you're a neighbor. Now, in Minneapolis, we have what is called a separation ordinance. And that separation ordinance states clearly that our city officials, our police officers and beyond, will not be gathering information showing who is and who is not documented. We do not ask the question with regard to immigration status, and because we haven't asked the question, we don't have any data to show documentation status in our city. Our police officers will not be cooperating with federal law enforcement around federal immigration law. We enforce state and local laws here in Minneapolis, and we will do so to the best of our ability. But as for cooperation with ICE, the answer is no. And so, again,
Ryan, one of the states and the cities that I'm starting to really not kind of like with the LA fires, where the empathy level starts to really drop low, is a city like Minneapolis. I mean, besides the fact that they light themselves on fire every few years for some crazy BLM movement, now you got your young liberal mayor there saying that they will pose resistance at every level to protect the illegal alien, which again, JD Vance's point rings true. Why is the Minneapolis mayor and Ilhan Omar fighting so hard to keep those that shouldn't be here, and yet let every other taxpaying American fall to the side? It doesn't make any sense. But Ryan, before I can get your response to the awfulness of that mayor, I think we're going to have to play for our audience, just to get a little chuckle here, a video from someone who has actually earned the title. I think the New York Post gave it to her a while back as the worst mayor in America. And that is Tiffany Henyard of the town of Dalton in Illinois. She is the mayor who decided to spend like hundreds of thousands of tax-paying money on luxury trips, first-class flights, her nails and her makeup. Basically, she has a extensive track record of being a total snob with money that isn't hers. And then when she's questioned about it, she uses the racism card. So this is honestly, when this video popped up, I was a little surprised because I was chatting with Anita, and I was like, I can't believe I thought maybe she was out as mayor at this point, but she's still in. So this is at a town meeting, which most of these Dalton town meetings end up with their citizens condemning this woman because she is running the town into the ground while she's partying herself up. And there's this man, I think his name was Jeremiah or Jedediah. He's kind of an activist within Illinois. And he basically tells Tiffany Henyard, the mayor, Tiffany Henyard, off because of her awful leadership. And he uses some profanity in there, especially when he makes his ending statement, calling her a bitch. Tiffany's boyfriend really did not like that. And let's just say the town council meeting turned into the Jerry Springer show. Rye, let's play the clip of the absolute brawl that took place at this town council meeting.
Woman. Moved away to Texas, and when her daughter moved away to Texas, she went to help her daughter. But I done heard about 4 or 5 people tell me how they had to take care of yours. And so now you've been a half-ass mayor. But if you wanted to get up here and earn some respect, then you should have been able to respond to Lori Lightfoot's report about credit cards. You want to talk about them not coming to work, but we've been hearing about what you've been doing while you've been at work. And I'm going to give away the rest of my time because I think on behalf of the Black Cookout Association that we would better take a vote and we're going to exchange your black ass for Stephanie to be the new member of Congress. So all those in favor say, all those against it say nay, all those in favor say aye. You gone, bitch.
That ain't right. Y'all women go out. That ain't right.
Rye, I don't have any words. Do you have a reaction to what we just watched here?
It's on brand.
On brand. Maybe we'll just leave it at that. Seriously, the people of Dalton, like when election is up, get this lady out. She is awful. She is honestly awful. And in that video, it might be even a little hard to see her, but Rye, if you want to just make a note and just show a picture here of Tiffany Henyard. But seriously, like my advice is we're in a point of America where even kind of what we're coming off of with this tragedy, we're in desperate need of true leadership. And I'm not just saying because of like right versus left. I mean, like people who want to actively engage with the electorate that they're supposed to lead and be responsible for. And her reaction is, let me get my boyfriend on this guy and turn it into just a freaking Waffle House fight. Like, come on. It's just like a video like that. If you're from anywhere else outside of the country, you would think we're just a joke. Or even the Minneapolis one. You don't even need to have a brawl to make yourself look like an absolute joke of a mayor. Maybe just this, we don't have a video on it, but just as an update, speaking of mayors, I think Mayor Eric Adams may get a little bit of a bailout here with his criminal case that he's involved with the corruption charges. So we'll probably have more detail on that for the tomorrow's episode. So stay tuned for that. I want to end the show actually with one video here. It's kind of just a common sense statement from someone who doesn't even live in this country. It's the former president of Kenya. And he kind of just makes a pretty good statement here about all the countries that are complaining over Trump cutting off foreign aid. And I can't argue with his argument. Right, let's play it.
People the other day crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He's appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bwana. Eh? This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya, ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do? Yeah? To support ourselves. Because nobody is going to continue holding out a hand there to give you. It is time for us to use our resources for the right things. We are the ones who are using them for the wrong things.
You know, I hope that's kind of a ringing message to everyone across the world that we are done paying for the BS. I mean, I think Doge just did an audit and found that USAID was paying, I think, like $50,000 scholarships to Burma based on DEI programs. Like, why? Why are we doing that? There are so many things money could be spent on that could benefit this country drastically, and we waste it on other people who don't care about us. Like, that's just it. And the fact that something so common from the president or former president of Kenya to be like, why are you complaining? US has no obligation to give us money. It's true. And I mean that for every foreign entity. We don't have an obligation to give you any money. So I don't know. Maybe I think the message is going to start to get out more internationally that Trump really isn't playing around this time. And I love it. So that's it for today. Our team email blessing, I would actually like to give it out to Cheryl Kennedy. And that's just, I think, a little bit ironic because we were talking so much about Robert F. Kennedy. But I also want to give, on behalf of Ryan too, our blessings to, again, everyone that was impacted by this aircraft collision last night. And when we come back tomorrow, hopefully we have even more answers as to how it unfolded. But our prayers are for all the families that found out this morning they lost a loved one from it. So until then, me and Ryan will be back tomorrow. And like I said, we'll also very much cover Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel's hearing. So until then, have a great day, everyone.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DMail News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and team DMail.